Okay, hey everybody. We're going to add a UV texture to our arm design. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my hands, those cartoon hands that you guys have been animating. Now my cartoon hands don't have an animation, but that's okay. Um, we can still add a UV to it. Now what a UV is just literally like it's like a texture that we're going to wrap around the hand. But first we have to unwrap it, which means that this texture here, this skin, if you will, of this character needs to come off of that character and then be flattened out in a kind of a flat image file. So to do that, just make certain that you select it first. It should have that green look to everything. And then if you go right up here to UV and then UV editor. Now there's nothing there yet because we have to generate the UV. And to do that, we're going to go to create and then automatic. And so what it's done is it's taken apart the entire arms and it shows you the sections that it's broken apart, and then it puts it here on this map, this flat map. And then this is what we're going to take into Photoshop to add imagery to, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snapshot of this. Okay, so I'm going to click this little button right here. And I'm going to say, yeah, I want it as a JPEG. Sounds good. I'm going to set my edge color to, and this doesn't really matter what you put it to, but it's important that it's not black because the image file is going to be black in the background. So if you make the outline of this black, you're just not going to see anything. It'll just be black on black. So I'm going to make it white, and you'll see what I'm meaning here in just a second. So I'm going to apply and close that after I've saved it to, I've changed mine to Panetta M desktop. I've named my file. I'm going to name it Panetta Yo. All right, so JPEG sounds good, looks good, white, apply, and close. All right, so I can exit out of that now. And what you'll see on my desktop is a file called Panetta Yo. And remember, so like the background's going to be black, I made my outline white just so I can see where the fingers are at, where the bicep is at, where the shoulder is at. These are the individual fingers. Now, which finger is this? Or which finger is that? Or which finger is that? Great question. So typically what we will do is we will do kind of a test pattern on it, which I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So I'm going to bring this into Photoshop. Okay. Now when I say a test pattern, what I would do is I would say, you know what, I'm going to take this blue. I'm going to put this on this finger here. Okay, just that. I'm sorry, I'm going to make a new layer. And you guys don't need to do this if you don't want to. We can just experiment a little bit. But I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to put a blue one right there. And then, so that way that'll tell me which arm this is once I know which hand in the Maya file has that little blue dot on it. And which shoulder is this? So let's put a little, let's put a yellow dot. Okay, and I'm only going to do those two things there. So I'm going to create just a flat file real quick, or a flat image here. Let me just, let's make a big brush, sure, why not? Let's just paint that. So you see I have my blue dot right there for that finger, and then the other one, oh no, did I paint it on the wrong thing? Oh, it was a yellow dot. You fool. Yeah, we'll do this. All right, we'll make it pink instead. So now I can see my blue dot and my yellow dot there. So yellow dot shoulder, blue dot on that finger there. And then I'm going to save this thing out. So file, I'm going to export it as, and then we're just going to call this thing a test, just a color test. Okay, so it's a JPEG, all this looks good, my dots are there. I'm going to export it to my desktop. We're just going to call this color test. Cool. So in Maya, I'm now going to select these arms. See? They're all selected. I'm going to go ahead and put a Lambert on it. You guys know what that is. I'm going to choose the little black and white icon for color. Choose File. Choose that. Desktop. And then my color test. It's right there. Okay, so now that file that I created is now on it, and I know, gotcha, that hand right there is going to be the left arm of my character. And, where's that dot? And that circle that I saw in there was the internal part of the arm here, so that literally shouldn't have anything on it, right? If it was a real person. But so I'm using this just to show me where things are at when I do this. And there's lots of ways that people do this, but so I'm going to delete these things here. So now I know what I'm starting with. I'm going to bring in a couple things. This is a skin texture. Now, I just found this online. It's free. It's simple. It's easy. Skin textures, this one's nice in the fact that it's seamless. And so what I mean by seamless is if I duplicate this, where they go together creates a perfect seamless continuation. See that? So that way you can't really tell where the edges are when I wallpaper this thing. So let's do that. And I'm not going to do a very good job here. I'm going to make this pretty crude, simple, but I'm just going to cover up all of the skin. And it doesn't matter if you go outside, like if I put color here or over here, it won't matter. So let's do one more here. Nice. So I have a skin texture. Let's wallpaper that this way. I think I have a couple of mistakes, but you know, oh well, we'll deal with it. So I'm gonna merge these layers here, make it a little easier. Let's wallpaper this big chunk. And one more time. Cool. So now I have this skin texture that's going to cover all of my design. Okay, but I'm going to turn that off for a second. So I have some tattoos that I want to add to my character's arm. Now, I would probably want to go and find out which forearm this is, which bicep this is. That's another forearm. That's a bicep. Is it the internal part of the bicep, the external part? I would do a little dot test to go figure it out, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to go put some tattoos on patches of skin. So the first one I'm going to add is just the best looking guy in the world, me. So I'm going to put that in here. Let's put that. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Let's see. I'm going to let's make this a nice. Oh, I'm going to desaturate it first. Adjustment. Desaturate. Now, what you do in here, it doesn't matter. You can do anything you want. No, I take that back. I should never say you can do anything you want, because there's a few of you, and you know who I'm talking about, who will do something that will make me feel very uncomfortable. So I'm kind of loving that, guys. What do you think? That look good? All right, I'm going to turn my skin on, but what I want it to look like is more like that, more like something that's been tattooed on. Let's up the brightness and color one more time. Nice. If anybody would like to get this tattooed on themselves, I am a full supporter. Nice. Okay, the other tattoo that I want to add is, I have 2 unicorns. I like unicorns. They're a fantastical creature. I have this one right here that looks very sad. And I have this one like right here that looks like the most angry unicorn that's ever lived. So where should we put these things? Oh, I don't know. We're going to put one over here. Let's see, make a smaller one. And like that. That's good. Let's put him. Where should we put him? There's my tattoo. My tattoo's there. Okay, let's put him over here on this arm. Let's turn the multiply on so that way it gets rid of the white background. Make sure that our placement is good. Make them a little smaller so that way it fits within just this section of the arm. Beautiful, right there. And then the sad one. Let's see. I think it's gonna have to go. It's gonna have to be a forearm design. Nice, nice. Yeah, perfect. All right. So now. Okay, so I've placed my tattoos, I have my skin texture. Now, if I were doing this for real, clearly I'm making a joke out of this, but if I were doing this for real and this was a real character, you know, like the nails, you know, you look at your fingers, you have nails, they have different colors, you have fingernails. This is literally where artistry comes in. You could paint if there's scarring, if there's calluses on the hands, if you have, you know, whatever you'd want to add to your character's design, you would do it now. Paint, color, add anything. So let's see. I think I'm happy. I'm happy. Let's save it. So file, save as. Oh no, I'm sorry, export as. And then I'm gonna keep it as the JPEG that we saved it out as. So JPEG 2048 looks good, looks fine. We're gonna save this out, and this is not a color test. This is the real deal. Unicorn. Okay, so desktop, unicorn for life, perfect. Save. And in Maya, we're just gonna, I already did this, but I'm gonna actually just do it again. I'm gonna select those arms. Now, if you select them and they look blue like this is face mode. This is where you can go and you can adjust the actual skin, the texturing, the kind of remodel, resculpt the arms, which we don't want. So if you ever need to get out of blue and go back, just right click and then go to object mode. And that takes us back to what you would normally want to see. So select it, make sure everything is selected. It is green. Let's put on a Lambert, which is good for skin, maybe a standard surface material. If you, in Photoshop, instead wanted to make this like more metal or something, well then we'd want to probably put on a blend or a Fong or something to get that kind of like metallic-y look, right? From the last thing that we did. But I'll put on a Lambert, so Lambert. And again, once the Lambert's open right here, if you don't see this, if like, I click out of it and it's gone. If you just go to focus, it shows you all the things that you've applied to it. And so there's my Lambert. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Lambert, color, to upload a file, file, choose desktop, the real deal, unicorn for life. If you're not seeing anything, it's because your texture is not on. So make sure to turn your texture on so you can actually see what that looks like. Oh gosh, that's upsetting. That's upsetting. Now, if I look at this, there's a lot of upsetting things. One is that skin texture is extremely large, right? And so what I would want to do in Photoshop is I would want to make this texture just smaller. So that way those patterns that we're seeing just are not so obvious. I'd probably also want to take some of the contrast, right? Because it gets, you get like really dark areas here, and then you can really see those dark areas in here. And so maybe I'd lower the contrast. So to give you a sense, instead of this, I would probably image adjustment saturation, maybe lower the saturation a bit, maybe brighten it up a little bit. And that's going to kind of smooth out that texture. So there's a lot of things in Photoshop. If you want to know how to do something in Photoshop, happy to show you. But you can see my now upside down tattoo, which you would know how to go back into Photoshop, flip that thing around. Let's see, where are my unicorns? Oh. Do you see how there are no unicorns? Where do you think those unicorns are? Oh, there's one. Hey, nice. Nice. I'm actually quite pleased with that. Where's that other unicorn, though? Oh, there it is. Nice. Now you can go in and make any adjustments into Photoshop that you'd want. But so this is what you're going to do. If you add it to your character and you go, gosh, I just added it and I don't see my tattoos anywhere, that means that your tattoo is probably inside here, inside the arm. Sometimes when you UV unwrap, it'll unwrap it, but we'll actually get what the inside of this thing looks like. So that just means that we need to put it somewhere else. So either way, if you guys need any help, let me know. But now you know how to unwrap an image, and you can do this with literally any image, a ball, anything, which is great. Here, actually, let's add a sphere as a last moment thing. Let's change the scale of that sphere so I can actually see it. I'm selecting it now, UV editor, and then there's that ball. right? So I can bring it into Photoshop, same thing I just did, and then I can make that a baseball, I can make it a golf ball, I can make it a snowball, or whatever it is you want to do. So that's unwrapping the UV and then editing it in Photoshop, bringing it back in, and then rewrapping your model with it.